So what do we make Havdalah on? So unlike Kiddush, where we said, at least on night, if a person doesn't have wine, he can do Kiddush on challah. When it comes to Havdalah, there's no such thing as making Havdalah on bread. And why is that? Because Kiddush is leading it to Suda, so at least the Kiddush is related. And we know that Kiddush has to be in the place of the Suda. So Kiddush is related to the meal that's going to follow. And therefore, if a person's in a tight spot, he can use bread. However, when it comes for Havdalah is a standalone, and therefore, bread may never be used. What should a person do if he does not have bread? So we discussed it numerous times. There's a concept called Chamar Medina, the country drink. So what exactly is that? We've discussed. But if a person doesn't have wine, then he should make it on Chamar Medina. Beer would probably be coffee, maybe even tea. Those are all examples of Chamar Medina. Now again, this is only if a person... Coca-Cola, that's the big question. Does Coke...
Yeah. Millionaire Bluff.
Yeah.
Famous step. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so Coca-Cola might be included. So all these things might be, again, the preferred method is wine. We're talking about if a person does not have wine. However, there's one interesting exception, that even if a person has wine, it's preferable to make it on beer. Does anyone know when that is?
Blackberry wine.
Pesach. What?
Wasn't it blackberry wine?
Blackberry wine? I remember you asked me this last time.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Motzei Pesach.
Motzei Pesach, right. On Motzei Pesach, when we're all this is like the pre-pizza days. Does everybody here know? I mean, in New York, it's like a big. Who's going to get the first bite of pizza? So we don't have that yet. Maybe Rabbi Grayman for this coming year. But so back then, their rush to their post Pesach was to have it on beer. Now I'm kind of joking because it wasn't really because they were so desperate to have beer. They wanted to show They wanted to show the chavivas and mitzvah, to show that look, we didn't have chametz all this time. Why? Only because it's a mitzvah in the Torah not to have chametz, but normally you would have chametz. So on that night, the Ramah says that it's preferable to have beer. And in fact, in my Sarab, it's brought down to the Vilna Gaon. He should send out one of his students, I guess, to the local tavern, and he used to bring back a keg of beer. And he's very careful to make Havdalah on beer on Motzei Pesach to show the chavivus and mitzvah just how much he cherishes the mitzvah. Yes.
What about liquor?
Liquor. Oh, that's a good question. So we discussed liquor in the context of Shabbos by day, right? Could a person make Kiddush on Shabbos day? So it probably is considered Chamar Medina, but the real problem was that when it comes to Chamar Medina, you're supposed to have a revi'is, right? So for some people it's not a revi'is, so between 3.3 and whatever, 4 point something, depending on the shiur. Yeah, so your person would have to have a majority of that. And when it comes to Havdalah, it gets even more complicated. Because why? We saw before that the custom is that the person making Havdalah is supposed to drink the entire thing. Now, why is that? Maybe it might be based on the fact that the custom is not for a woman not to drink Havdalah. So and even the rest of the family, the kids, are not supposed to have it. So from there became the custom that the person drinking is supposed to drink the whole thing. Now, if you take a kos and you fill it up with whiskey, I mean, I don't know about...
you can't put it in Pesach dishes away.
Right. But I wouldn't be able to drink an entire kos worth of whiskey. So yes, technically it would be, but you just run into that problem. Now, that last part, it's not a requirement. It's not an absolute... Not to the point where it loses its, So, where was I? So yeah, so whiskey technically would be, but ideally a person is supposed to drink the entire thing, and even if not, at least a majority of it. So those are Chamar Medina, and okay, so that's the halacha for today, that we make Havdalah on wine, and if a person doesn't have wine, he can do Chamar Medina.